Guess what I'm here with? Well, you can probably tell by the title, but it's a book review for Thin Space by Jodi Casella, and I'm giving it 5 out of 5 stars. This is my first 5-star read of the year, and I'm really excited about it. Thin Space is about this guy in high school, basically the start of grade 12, and at the end of the summer his brother died, and he is in search for something called a thin space, which is basically just like a thin space between the living world and the dead world, and he's trying to find one so that he can slip through into the dead world and talk to his brother. There is so much more to the story than just that, though. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't in love with it when I first started it. I enjoyed it. I still liked it, and I was still intrigued in the beginning, but there was something about it that I couldn't quite put my finger on that I wasn't sure about. I didn't know if it was the dialogue, or the characters, or the writing style, but there was just something that kind of made me feel a little meh about it, while still being intrigued and interested to continue the story. And when I got to about the 75 or 80 page mark, I don't know, it went away. I loved the characters, I loved the dialogue, I loved the writing, and the story was that much more intriguing. It just got really good. Not only is it about this guy grieving his recently deceased brother and trying to find a way to get in touch with him again, but it is also about him making a new friend, and it's also about the way other people who aren't friends with him, or maybe who used to be friends with him, are dealing with his brother's death, and the way that they are also basically seeing this guy, the way that he is dealing with his brother's death, because of the way that he's looking for a thin space. From the outside, it looks really peculiar, and people think he's a freak, and so there's stuff being dealt with in that portion of the story. But there is also a twist in the end of the book that I figured out before the halfway point of the story. And I was reading it with my friend, and she also figured it out. And I'm gonna say this is the first time coming up with a twist beforehand and being right about it did not lessen the story for me. I feel like knowing what was happening before it was revealed made the story that much better for me. It made it spooky, it made it, like, when talking about it with my friend gave me goosebumps, pricked my eyes like with tears, you know, when you're talking about creepy things sometimes, like if you're talking about ghost stories, it makes you so spooked sometimes that you get little tears in your eyes. That was happening to me. Everything was blowing my mind. We ended up rereading parts before we even finished the book to confirm our theory, and it was just blowing our minds into pieces. And after we were 110% positive that we were correct, that we knew what the twist was, the story was still so good because I was just waiting for it to be revealed. I was just waiting for someone to say what was happening. And it was just killing me. I was like, oh my god, when are they gonna say it? And it was so, so good. And I actually highly recommend reading this with a friend and talking about it as you read it. Not even just talk about it together when you're both done, but to both decide on like page points that you're going to read until and then talk about it together, because the conversations that came up from this book as we were reading it were so good, and just our minds were going everywhere with our theories, and it just made the reading experience that much better. Also, when I got to the ending of the book, I like literally sobbed. It's like making me break down. It made me really emotional. I thought the ending was absolutely perfect, and it's hard to make a perfect ending, but it was excellent. It was excellent. This is definitely one that I'm going to be rereading in the future, and definitely going to be on my favorite books of 2018 list, so stay tuned for that in a year.